Most people fear silence because silence exposes them. The moment the noise fades, the distractions disappear, and the endless voices of the world become distant echoes, a person is finally left alone with the one thing they spend their entire lives trying to escape: themselves. Look around, the modern world worships noise. It celebrates constant talking, endless opinions, and the desperate need to be noticed. People rush to explain themselves, defend themselves, and announce every thought before it has even matured. They believe power belongs to the loudest voice in the room. They mistake visibility for significance and attention for respect. Yet history reveals a different truth. The strongest minds were never the most talkative. The most dangerous individuals were often the quietest. The deepest rivers flow silently, while shallow streams make the greatest noise. Silence is not weakness. Silence is stored energy. A person who cannot remain silent is a person who is controlled by the need for reaction. Every word they speak becomes evidence of their insecurity. Every unnecessary explanation reveals their desire for approval. Every emotional outburst hands power to someone else. The individual who must constantly speak has become a servant to the opinions of others. But the one who masters silence becomes something entirely different. Silence creates mystery. Human beings are naturally uncomfortable with what they cannot fully understand. When you reveal everything about yourself, people stop wondering about you. They place you into a category, label you, and believe they have measured your limits. But when you remain silent, you deny them that certainty. Your silence forces them to think. Your silence forces them to imagine. Your silence becomes a mirror in which they project their own assumptions. This is why silence often appears more powerful than speech. Speech reveals, silence conceals. Speech spends energy. Silence accumulates it. Speech satisfies curiosity. Silence intensifies it. The weak person speaks to gain attention. The strong person understands that attention gained too easily is rarely valuable. They do not rush to prove themselves, because they know that true worth does not require constant advertisement. The lion does not announce its strength to the jungle every morning. Its presence alone is enough. There is another reason silence creates power. Most people are prisoners of impulse. An insult arrives, and they react immediately. Criticism appears, and they defend themselves at once. A challenge emerges, and they feel compelled to respond. Their emotions pull the strings while they obediently dance. Silence breaks this chain. The silent individual creates distance between emotion and action. In that distance, freedom is born. They do not allow anger to command their tongue. They do not allow fear to dictate their decisions. They do not surrender their judgment to temporary feelings. Instead, they observe, they analyze, they wait. Waiting is a form of strength that few possess. The crowd admires speed because speed creates the illusion of confidence. Yet wisdom often moves slowly. The hunter who rushes misses the target. The strategist who acts too soon loses the battle. The thinker who speaks before understanding creates confusion instead of truth. Silence grants the luxury of observation. While others compete to be heard, the silent person learns. They notice contradictions. They recognize motives. They detect weaknesses hidden beneath confident words. Because they are not occupied with talking, they are free to see. And seeing is power. Most human beings reveal themselves without realizing it. Given enough time, people expose their fears, ambitions, resentments, and desires. They reveal them through tone, posture, habits, and careless remarks. The silent observer gathers this information effortlessly. Others consider conversation a way to express themselves. The silent person understands conversation as a way to understand others. This creates an extraordinary advantage. The individual who knows more than they reveal possesses leverage. The individual who reveals more than they know becomes vulnerable. That is why silence has always been associated with wisdom. Not because silence itself is magical, but because it allows perception to deepen. Consider how much suffering is created by unnecessary words. Friendships are destroyed by impulsive statements. Relationships collapse because of reckless speech. Careers are damaged by comments that should never have been made. Entire lives change because someone failed to remain silent for a single moment. Words are powerful precisely because they cannot be retrieved once released. An arrow may miss its target. A sword may be sheathed, but spoken words continue traveling long after they leave the mouth. They shape perceptions, create enemies, expose intentions, and reveal vulnerabilities. The person who understands this becomes careful. They learn that silence is often not the absence of communication, but the highest form of control. Many people assume silence means submission. They believe that if you do not respond immediately, you have lost. But reality is often the opposite. The need to have the final word usually belongs to the insecure. The need to win every argument often belongs to those who secretly doubt themselves. The truly confident person does not feel compelled to fight every battle. Why should a mountain argue with the wind? Why should certainty seek validation? Why should strength constantly prove itself? The strongest response is often no response at all. When someone insults you, they are frequently attempting to control your emotions. If they can provoke anger, they gain influence. If they can trigger defensiveness, they gain influence. If they can force you into a reaction, they have succeeded. Silence denies them that victory. Silence leaves them alone with their own words. This is why silence can feel intimidating. It shifts the burden back onto the other person. Instead of controlling you, they are forced to confront themselves. Yet silence is not merely a social weapon. Its greatest power is internal. A silent mind becomes capable of hearing truths that noise conceals. Most people live in constant distraction because stillness is uncomfortable. Silence removes excuses. It removes entertainment. It removes the comforting illusion of busyness. What remains is reality. In silence, a person confronts their fears. In silence, a person encounters their weaknesses. In silence, a person discovers what they truly desire. This process is not pleasant. It is often painful, but growth has never been the child of comfort. Transformation begins when a person stops running. The world encourages endless activity because activity prevents reflection. Reflection creates awareness, and awareness creates change. A person who becomes deeply aware can no longer tolerate a life built on illusion. They begin questioning inherited beliefs, social expectations, and artificial limitations. Silence becomes the birthplace of independence. And independence is dangerous. Society prefers predictable individuals who repeat accepted opinions. Silence threatens this order because it creates thinkers instead of followers. The person who spends time alone with their thoughts gradually develops something rare, an authentic perspective. They stop borrowing convictions from the crowd. They stop measuring themselves through approval. They stop seeking permission to exist. At that moment, a profound shift occurs. The individual no longer depends on external validation. Their confidence emerges from within rather than from applause. Their actions become guided by purpose rather than popularity. Such a person becomes difficult to manipulate. That is real power. Not the power to dominate others, but the power to govern oneself. Not the power to control the world, but the power to remain unshaken by it. Not the power of noise, but the power of inner certainty. Silence teaches patience. Silence teaches discipline. Silence teaches observation. Silence teaches mastery over impulse. Above all, silence teaches self-possession, and self-possession is the foundation of every lasting form of strength. The world will continue celebrating noise because noise is easy. Anyone can speak, Anyone can react, anyone can announce their opinions. But very few can remain silent when silence is difficult. Very few can endure misunderstanding without rushing to explain. Very few can resist the temptation to prove themselves. Those who can achieve this discover a secret that changes everything. Power does not begin when others listen to you. Power begins when you no longer need them to.